I want to thank our family and close friends for coming to celebrate the life of my grandma, or Nana Lourdes. My name is Pamela. I'm known as PJ, as what Nana would call me. I am the third granddaughter of Lourdes, the youngest daughter of Edgar. Nana raised me and my sister MJ since we were toddlers. I believe we were 3 or 4 years old. My dad was working a lot, so she took care of us most of the time. She was the mother figure in our lives. It was just me, MJ, my dad, and Nana. There's a lot of memories I have of her because she was my best friend growing up. I spent a lot of time with her, playing with her, sleeping in the same room as her, and telling her everything. She would always walk me and my sister to school, and whenever we were done with school, she would always pick us up, walk back home, or if we had a ride home, she'd be outside waiting at the house until the school bus or the carpool would drop us off. She was always there for us. And I can't forget her cooking too, especially her sinigang, turon, and lumpia. It was because of her that I fell in love with Filipino food. She tried her best to instill the Filipino culture in us, especially trying to speak Tagalog. And even though me and MJ can't, at least we learned to understand it. On my dad's side, we don't have a big family here in the States, so Nana and my dad was all that me and MJ knew regarding our Filipino culture. I would say that Nana lived the American life. She traveled around the world with us, first coming to the United States and then to Italy, and we did a road trip in Europe, like going to France, Germany, Amsterdam, Austria, and Switzerland. And then when we moved back to the States, we lived in Maryland at the time, and again, she was always taking us to school. I remember doing another trip when we were moving to San Diego. We did a road trip from Maryland going to Disney World, Missouri, and the Grand Canyon. And then when we moved to San Diego, we did another road trip to San Francisco. And so we continue to do that up until this year. So Nana traveled to a lot of many places. When I was in 5th grade, we had to move to Japan, but Nana had to stay back in San Diego. I was really sad to leave her because, you know, she was a mother figure in our lives, and it was going to be a big change in our family without her coming. This was going to be our first trip without her. We lived in Japan for 3 years, and those 3 years went by quickly. Eventually, we moved back, and I became closer to my Nana again. I was always sleeping over at her apartment on the weekends. And then eventually I had to grow up. I got involved with school events and hanging out with friends, but Nana was always there and she understood that. I remember having a school project of my family history, and it was really interesting to hear what she had to say about her side of the family because, as you all know, we have a small family compared to my mom's side of the family, so I don't get to hear a lot of our family stories. I'm glad I was able to give her 4 great grandchildren, my kids, Jalen, Jersey, Jada, and Jackson. I remember when I was giving birth to my first child, Jalen, she was there in the delivering room. Being a mother that she was, I just remember her talking in Tagalog about what's going on, her concerns about me and Jalen. She was always talkative, and it was kind of stressing me out during my labor, so I don't know who told her to be quiet, but she just whispered, trying to be quiet. Nana was one of the first to meet my son, and then Jersey, Jada, and Jackson came along. Seeing her with my children reminds me of how I was at their age, being around Nana, always playful and loving. And as I got older and years went by, I noticed that she would be sleeping, but in reality, she would tell me that she's praying, just like what MJ said. And because of that, I realized how much of a prayerful person she was, always saying prayer before eating, especially at birthday parties, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. I'm really thankful for her prayers, and I believe there's power in prayer. I remember a few years ago, I bought her a Bible written in Tagalog, and I asked her what her favorite verse was, which was Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Nane displayed what a disciple should be. She was always loving and forgiving, showing hospitality and other Christ-like behaviors. She knew what her purpose was, and just to look back at her life as a single mother, it was God that gave her the strength, perseverance, resilience, wisdom, and discernment in what she needed to do to live a life for God. She lived a long, beautiful life, 94 years old, where she was able to travel around the world, make an impact on close friends she met along the way, and having 6 great-grandchildren, 4 here and 2 in the Philippines. Knowing Nanay, she had a lot of friends, and maybe more real friends than what I have now. After all the years that her friends passed away, where she attended their funeral, now it's ours to celebrate our beautiful life. So there's a scripture in the Bible, Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time for everything, a season, and a season for every activity under the heavens. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. He has made everything beautiful in its time. And just what was said in scripture, our lives here on earth are temporary. Although Nane lived a long, beautiful life, she's no longer suffering here on earth. Her spirit is with God in heaven, and someday we will all meet again. And I just wanted to say that we all love you, Nane, and you will be dearly missed.